Marhaba, and hello once again. I'm historian and writer American Dr. Jack Dempsey, living in Crete these days, 9 years now. And with me is Muhammad Jihad Ismael, a historian and writer of Gaza in Deir al-Balah specifically. He was born there and he has lived all his life there. He now has a family of his own. And today is November 4th, 2024, Monday. Mohammed, hello. How are you today?
Hello, brother. It's okay. We are good. It's okay.
Okay. And by we, Mohammed is speaking of his beautiful wife, Ghada, and their beautiful three children, his son, Jojo, about age 6, and his twin beautiful daughters, Dina and Lena, who I think are 4 years old now, Mohammed?
3.5.
3.5. Okay. And also your parents live with you and your sister and a group of 10 people in the family altogether, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, our subject today is the GoFundMe that we have begun thanks to the intrepid Irish businessman named Aaron Nolan. His GoFundMe that he has started to help the Ishmael family is called Support Muhammad Ismael and his children. It's at GoFundMe, and I will put a direct link in the description of this video. Today, we'd like to talk to you about why this is important, how it came about, and what's behind it all. Muhammad, let me ask you first. Your grandparents lived in the old midsection of the country village called Shaphir. In 1948, they were driven along with their whole family at gunpoint to a 30-odd kilometer march into exile in Gaza. And your father was born under a tree beside the road without any medical help whatsoever. They ended up in one and then another refugee camp within Gaza. And what is your birthday, Mohammed? What day were you born into that situation? What is
Yeah.
your birthday?
Me or my father.
Sorry?
Me or my father.
You.
Yeah. I was born on Sunday. It was Sunday, 21st of April, 1985.
1985. So you are a young man. You are 30 years younger than me.
I am 40 now.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And during your growing up, Mohammed, we know that there were many incidents and very unpleasant incidents of interactions with Israelis, the IDF, the soldiers, the police. Almost everything you did outside of your house was vulnerable to inspection and even attack. They beat you up once and so forth. The kinds of things that I'm sorry to say many people would expect to happen in an environment like Gaza. But before Gaza was closed, before you were all locked into Gaza, you made one or two trips outside of Gaza, right? Didn't you? Did you go to Italy once in your life?
Yeah. I went dozens of times to Egypt.
Ah,
It's my
okay.
favorite destination because Egypt is very, very close to us.
Yes.
But other than Egypt, it was only one time I went to Italy. But most of my travels are to Egypt.
Yes.
Egypt is only 11 kilometers away from
Yes.
my current place here.
And in
Yeah.
Egypt, Mohammed, excuse me, in Italy, you made friends with some academics, right? People from the universities there, historians and other figures that recognize that your point of view as a historian is very important. Is that right?
Yes, yes, of course. I used to deliver speeches at several universities. One of those universities is called Rome and Napoli University.
Hmm.
The Catholic University of Milano, the University of Bologna. It is the oldest university in Europe. The University of Bologna
Bologna.
is even older than Oxford and
Yes,
Cambridge in Britain.
that's right.
Yeah,
And Mohammed, one
yeah.
final thing.
I visited them.
Okay, one final thing about your background, Mohammed, that I'd like people to know. What year in your life, what year was Gaza closed? When did the Israelis actually finally lock you in so that you cannot leave? What year was that?
Yeah. Let me tell you with some details. I lived 10 years under the Israeli rule. In the year 1994, PA has attended and they started to control Gaza according to Oslo Accords.
Yes.
So I lived my first 10 years under the Israeli occupation of Gaza.
Okay.
After that, I lived under the control of PA, starting from 1994 until the coup which took place on 2007, when Hamas used to make a military coup against PA.
Okay. And
So
then,
I lived 13 years under the rule of PA.
okay. And so Gaza was locked in 2004,
2007, with the
2007.
coming of Hamas. Yeah,
Okay. So for 16 years, you and your family have known no freedom at all. 16
of course.
years living in Gaza. Okay. Now,
Yeah,
given everything that's happened, the intifadas, the sometimes Israeli incursions, Operation Cast Lead, and other horrible scenes of warfare in Gaza, when they tried to break the spirit of the Palestinians to make them stop their nasty resistance against what Israel wanted, uh, you were growing up
yeah,
in that time, and life has gotten worse and worse every single year. In our last program, we mentioned that sometimes Palestinians and others say, how could today be any worse? How could today be any worse? And then they say, don't ask how it could be worse, because tomorrow will show you the answer. Tomorrow will show you the answer. So you and your family in this past year, this terrible year, since October 7th, Mohammed, you and your family have been
yeah,
driven from your house in Deir al-Balah to Khan Yunis, where you stayed, I think, a couple of months. From there, driven out to Rafah, where you lived in an unbearable plastic tent, along with tens of thousands of other people. Then your family decided, we're going home. We're going to live here or die here, but we're going back to our house in Deir al-Balah. And you walked together 13 kilometers through all kinds of dangers and nightmare scenes to come back to your home. And after a little while, you sat down together, Mohammed, with the family, and you had a meeting and you said, we think that we must leave Gaza. We must leave Palestine. Can you talk a little about everybody in your family, how they felt about the decision to emigrate? Because that is what is behind our GoFundMe. We are trying to raise $25,000 or euros to support what you estimate your family of 10 would need to get out of there and to begin a new life. Mohammed, how did your family make that decision? What kinds of things were said? What kinds of things did you talk about? And it must have been very difficult. Please.
yeah. First of all, let me tell you briefly about the story of my life. Now I am approaching 40. 40 years. Let me tell you briefly. Let me give you a very brief description for this
Okay.
for this life. Briefly, I can tell you that my life is a journey of fear. A journey of fear. All my life, I were living in fear, in despair. There is no peace. There is no psychological balance in your life. You are not psychologically fit. And I have to confess with that. It's not shameful to say and to confess that you are not psychologically fit. Yeah, this is me. I am not psychologically fit because when I were born in the year 1990, in 1985, it was a curfew. It was a curfew in my area, and my mother told me we used to make coordination through the International Committee of Red Cross. They started to make some contacts with the Israelis just to persuade them to let us have an ambulance car to take her, to take my mother to the clinic. So I were born in a curfew day,
Yes.
From the first day in my life, I was frightened. I was not living in peace at all. All my life, all my days, all my weeks, all my years, I were hearing the shelling. We're hearing the shooting. It's not peaceful life at all. Yeah. So briefly, I can describe my life as a journey of fear, a life of fear. Yeah.
And Mohammed, for,
Uh,
for, for every person outside of Gaza who in the West at least has a certain routine when they go to find food, they go to buy for food at the market, they bring home water if they need it, to get medicine, to take your children to school, all the different small things that other people do, and it is normal. Sometimes it is difficult, but it is a safe journey. You have been doing it under gunfire. Every time you leave your home, you are subject to being killed. And how many of us would be psychologically well if that were the case when you just wanted to leave your home for some valid reason and people are shooting at you? This has been what it's like. So your family, Muhammad, you decided that we cannot find a future. We will have no future here in Gaza. Everything is destroyed. Everything is destroyed. So tell us about, Muhammad, how you decided to emigrate. How did your family decide together to
yeah,
emigrate?
yeah. In fact, we have decided to immigrate because we lost any hope in a good future, a good life in the future. We lost big number of our relatives, our friends, our neighbors, and I think Gaza, after this devastating war, Gaza will be not valid for life. I think that cancer will knock the door of every house here in Gaza. Cancer will visit every every house, every family in Gaza. You cannot imagine how much the Israeli shelling has injected the soil of Gaza with
Yes,
with chemicals, with poisons, with
yes,
radiations, with the uranium. Yeah.
yeah.
So I am sure it will be very, very bad life. So if you decide to live in Gaza, it will be like a suicidal decision or a suicidal option. Yeah. Uh,
And is that
Also,
how
yeah,
is that how your family talked about it, Muhammad? Did you talk about those very things when you all voted to try to leave, to emigrate?
yeah. Now I am living in my house. Uh, my house is not collapsed yet. It's standing. The building of my house is standing, but I think after this war finish, I think we will need some bulldozers to attend here in order to collapse the home. I think only I think the house is standing only with a miracle. All the pillars, all the cement pillars of the house are
Broken
you
and
know
cracked.
broken. Yeah, are broken. Yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes I used to have some bad nightmares in my sleeping, that maybe some strong wind or very humble earthquake may destroy the house, because the house is shaken, not strong. If you
Yes.
are talking about the pillars or the bases of the house, yeah.
And
So
Mohammed, your family, you sleep together in what your family calls a safe room of the house. You take one room and try to make it safer for the family, but there are bullets coming through the walls. There is chunks of steel, iron steel shrapnel coming through the walls. One piece landed between your wife's and your son's head on the pillow. This is happening all the time. And I have seen estimates, Mohammed, that it would take 60 years to, if they started today, it would take 60 years to make Gaza a place where people can live again. Other people say more than 100 years. So this is part of what you are saying and thinking when you are talking about to leave your country. And so that, again, ladies and gentlemen, is why we are trying to ask you to contribute to the GoFundMe that will allow Muhammad and his family to leave. They don't know where they're going yet, maybe just to Egypt to begin, maybe as far as Australia. But here's the important thing. In the world of the internet, 2,500 is not a very big number. Okay. If we could get 2,500 people to each contribute $10, 10, $10, and you do it in 3 minutes at the GoFundMe site, it's very safe, then that would bring the 25,000 into being. And Muhammad and his family would know that when they are able to do their paperwork and official actions and so forth, that they would be able to go find a place to live and another place to start to live somewhere else. In Egypt, in Cairo, there are many embassies. So you said you plan to consult with many embassies if and when you got there. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm just trying to ask Muhammad here, what do you most want people to know, Muhammad, about this journey that your family has decided to begin? Another journey into the unknown, another journey of fear.
yeah, yeah. In fact, we are so longing, we are so eager to have some rest, to have some comfort, to have some internal peace. We didn't know this sort of peace, the internal peace, to sleep well, to make your daily life in a relaxed mood, not under pressure, not afraid, not stressed. You know,
Yes.
we are longing to this sort of life. So
And
for me and for my family, we hope to stay or to spend what's what's remaining in our ages in some peace, in some comfort, far away from struggle, from shilling, from this disturbing voice of cannons, of fighters, of tanks, because we are very tired. We are so exhausted.
And there are always drones flying loudly over your heads. The military jets come flying in very low out of nowhere just to terrorize people with the horrible noises that they make. besides the weapons that they drop. But Mohammed, there's something I want people to know also. I have known you about 4 years now, I think. And in that time, before the war that began last October, you were not sitting there waiting for help. You were trying to improve your house. You were opening up the other rooms of your house, and people can see wonderful photo pages of this at our blog, Jack Dempsey Writer at WordPress.com. Jack Dempsey Writer at WordPress.com. I can put a link to that also in the description, but you were always working very hard, Muhammad, to make a better life for your family before this war began. And then everything became impossible. No matter what you have done, Muhammad, you have tried and tried and tried to give your family a better life, and nothing is allowed to get better for you. So you again have made this decision, this, I'm sure, very heartbreaking decision to leave the land of your family and ancestors. And I'd only like to ask you once more again, what do you most want people to understand about why $10, the cost of their coffee for a couple of days, only $10, and they could make a life important decision for all your family. Your children cannot study, they cannot go to school, they cannot sleep well at night. They are terrified by the explosions that are happening all around you. They have just had their polio type B second treatment so that they may not become paralyzed from the environment that you're in. What else would you most like people to know about, well, why you need their help? $10 of help.
I want to tell the people all over the world that your smallest basic needs in your daily life are considered dreams for me and my family. When you are talking about a normal bottle of water, you can have it easily. If you go to supermarket, you can bring so many boxes of drinking water. For me, in order to fill 5 or 6 bottles of water, I have to spend one day walking like 8 or 10 kilometers on.
Yes. Excuse us, ladies and gentlemen. Mohammed's signal from Gaza sometimes gets interrupted like this, and I'm hoping that his image and his participation will be unfrozen any moment. But I don't know, while I'm waiting to see that, I hope that I'm not overdoing it by amplifying what he's saying. They have to walk many kilometers every couple of days to get bottled water, carry it back, to get maybe a cardboard box full of canned goods, which come in freely from other countries, but Hamas steals so that they can sell it to their own starving people. And Muhammad was just at the market the other day. Oh, I'm sorry, we've lost him. But to finish that thought, Muhammad was just at the market the other day. He says there is nothing there. The Israelis are not allowing any kind of fresh food to come in. That probably means water and medicine as well. And instead, all the foods that are available, maybe some cans of sardines or tuna or some rice, they are virtually all beyond their expiration dates. And I've warned him about seeing the lid of a can of tuna, for example. If it's bending upward like this, it means that it is spoiled, that bacteria are growing in there, and that he must not either buy or eat that. Now, I'm talking to you, waiting, hopefully, that Muhammad might be able to rejoin us, but perhaps he will not. So I will close this program, since his presence is so important, by asking you once more to look under our description here, click on the GoFundMe link, and just put in $10 on a perfectly safe credit card process. Takes not even 5 minutes to make a huge difference in their true, real lives. His children also at WordPress, Jack Dempsey Writer at WordPress.com. You can see the beauty of his family, the smiles of hope in their faces, the appreciation for any little ordinary luxury, a candy bar or a toy or some kind of a treat that any child here would scarcely blink at. But there we are. So again, Mohammed and I thank you from the bottoms of our hearts for your listening today, for beginning to understand why this GoFundMe is so important and how much it will mean to them. The one thing that Mohammed's friendship has taught me most is to appreciate the slightest sliver of hope. They have no hope right now. They have no hope right now. No one is going to help them. No one is going to speak for them. No one is going to protect them. We have to do it. This is your opportunity to do one little thing that will have a real impact. So I will stop now. I thank you, and Mohammed thanks you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you again together as soon as possible. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Peace on earth.